Hi, it's Nikki here from Happy Hormones for Life, and today I am talking about adrenal fatigue. Now, adrenal fatigue is something that for me has become a bit of an epidemic in the Western world, and especially in the last year when we've had this pandemic to cope with and lockdown and all the challenges that has brought. The problem is that adrenal fatigue as a condition is not really recognised by the medical world because symptoms are often mixed up with other conditions like depression, anxiety, insomnia, those sorts of things for which there are medication treatments. But whatever you call it, adrenal fatigue or cortisol imbalance is definitely real. And it's important to spot the signs and do something about it before it turns into full burnout or chronic fatigue. So, personal one for me again today, I found out I was pretty close to adrenal fatigue in my early 40s when I was juggling a pretty busy corporate career and two young kids. But luckily, I had my dad and I got tested and was able to turn it around before it was too late. So, it's always been a battle for me to keep my cortisol in balance. Sometimes I don't get it right, very right. This year's been particularly hard because we've been so busy. And it's always one that I'm battling with. So, this is a real personal battle, I guess, for me as well as many women, I imagine, are battling the same sort of thing. So the term adrenal fatigue was actually proposed as a new condition by Dr. James Wilson in his book called Adrenal Fatigue in 1998. He explains that when the adrenal glands are overstimulated for long periods of time, it can affect your production of cortisol and DHEA and basically put it out of balance. Cortisol is your main stress hormone, as we know, and it's there to protect you from danger. Our old fight or flight response against the lion attacks, etc. But not particularly relevant or useful today for micro stresses of the modern day life, things that we have to deal with every single day. We need cortisol. We need it to be balanced. So we want it to be nice and high in the mornings to wake us up and get us going and give us the energy and reserves that we need all day long. But when we've had high sustained levels of cortisol, this can put a huge burden on your adrenal glands. And after a while, they can struggle to maintain that demand in the right places of the day because there is a very specific cortisol output that supports our whole circadian rhythm and body clock and allows us to wake up in the morning and go to sleep at night. And if that's kind of out, because your cortisol production is a little bit out of balance, that's what can lead to symptoms and health issues. So what do we want to be looking out for? Fatigue, tiredness all the time, tired all the time, TAT as we call it. When your cortisol is high or low, it's going to take a toll on your energy levels. If they're really high, it's hard for your blood sugar to stay in balance, and then you're going to have those dips when you feel tired, or you can be tired all day long, and it can be pretty much chronic exhaustion. High blood pressure is another thing. Cortisol increases your blood pressure to get oxygen into your muscles. So long-lasting high blood pressure is actually obviously a risk factor for heart disease. So that's something to look out for. Weakened immune system is another one. High cortisol depletes your vitamin C stores, puts a stress on your immune system. Reduces the production of immune cells, so it leaves you more vulnerable to infection and picking up stuff. We don't want that right now. So again, the stress can really have an impact on that, as we've seen in the studies with COVID and stress. Number 4 is brain fog or memory loss. This can affect many people when they're stressed out. So important to kind of forget things or get stuck in the middle of a sentence when you're under pressure, and cortisol is doing that. It's messing with your neurotransmitters, and if you're perimenopausal or menopausal, pretty much over 35, this can get worse. So if you are having brain fog, memory loss issues, yes, it's going to be a mixture of kind of stress, but also perimenopausal hormones as well. PMS, cortisol competes with progesterone receptors, so stress can lead to estrogen dominance and PMS symptoms, so heavy painful periods, breast tenderness, bloating, all of that kind of stuff if you're still having a cycle. Mood issues, depression, anxiety, mood swings can all be caused by high or low cortisol levels, depending on where you are on that graph. Sleep, obviously cortisol is going to affect your sleep. Racing thoughts, inability to fall asleep, or that frequently waking up thing can be signs that your stress hormones are messing with your body clock and your sleep hormones. So again, that's something else to watch out for. Digestive issues. Cortisol suppresses your digestion because when you're in fight or flight, the last thing the body needs to worry about is digesting your lunch. So it's going to make it harder for your food to get digested, those nutrients to get absorbed, and it can have can actually impact your digestion in terms of symptoms as well. Low libido, infertility, cortisol and sex hormones don't really mix like that. So when we're stressed, they get cortisol and sex hormones are made from the same mother hormone, pregnenolone. So that gets the message when we're stressed to make more cortisol instead of sex hormones. So again, that can have an impact on our reproductive cycle and our libido, and the fact that, and our ability to get pregnant as well. We know that. And then lastly, this belly fat thing, this fat around the middle that is impossible to shift. Whatever you do, not only do we have 4 times more receptors for cortisol around our belly area, but it stimulates your appetite as well. So sugar and carbs are vital when you need that energy to run from the tiger. But when obviously we've got food readily available, no tigers to run from, then all that sugar gets used, stored as fat. So that belly fat around the middle is a key one, and it is a sure sign of cortisol imbalance if you can't shift it. So what do we do to avoid or recover from adrenal fatigue? First thing we do is, it's not rocket science this, you're going to know the answers to this, but I'm going to go through it anyway. Slow down. Now is the time to prioritize rest and relaxation above everything else, if you can. I know we're all busy and we've got stuff to do and people relying on us and work to do and all of that, but if we can just slow down, as in certain times of the day, make those times non-negotiable. Nothing gets in the way of that relaxation time, even if it's just 10 minutes, 15 minutes, that's going to make an impact. Prioritize your sleep. That means getting to bed earlier, taking naps if you need them, putting your eye mask on and your earplugs in, if that helps too. Go and look at my blog on sleeping tips if you want more information on sleep. Look at your digital well-being. That means your phones, your screen time. Have some gadget-free days or limit the time you're checking your phones. Nothing stresses us out more than screen time and tech. So be aware of that. And really, there are so many resources now to help you with that. Do something you love every day to switch off that cortisol response, whether that's walking in nature, having a long bath, dancing, cooking, gardening, massage, meditation, whatever it is that helps you to switch off, and it just make it a non-negotiable every single day. Breathe. Just the act of deep breathing from your belly switches off your cortisol response. How amazing is that? It's really easy, and it's free and you can do it in bed if you want to. I've just discovered a really good meditation app called Insight Timer. It's got some amazing practices and meditations on there. I'm loving discovering all of those. Stop feeling guilty about relaxing. What is it about us women that we feel guilty that we should be doing something? It's all BS really. If you don't relax, you and everyone around you is going to suffer. So in a way, think about your self-care as an unselfish act. Certainly not selfish to look after your needs first and foremost, because a lot of people are relying on you. Nourish your adrenals. That means make sure you're supplementing those nutrients that stress is depleting. That is vitamin C, B vitamins, magnesium, so important. And get your top 5 supplements in. If you don't know those, go over to my blog again and type in supplements and it will ping up miraculously. Adaptogenic herbs can be helpful as well. These can help to balance your cortisol. Rhodiola, ashwagandha are some of my favourites. Licorice can help, but don't take that if your cortisol's high. You want to take it if it's low. It'll help to boost it a little bit. Other herbs as well. There are some lovely formulas again on my page. You'll see some of the ones that I like. Avoid food stressors. Food can stress you out, certain foods, so we want to be limiting those. We know what they are: refined carbs, sugar, any foods you're sensitive to, so like maybe gluten or dairy. Might not be, but it could be a problem. Vegetable oils, alcohol, caffeine, processed foods, all of those things can stress your body depending on how you're wired, but most of them will. And then lastly, avoid strenuous exercise. This is probably my favourite, because if you're low on energy, too much exercise, too much physical activity in terms of intense stuff can actually deplete your reserves. So we want to be mindful of that, and looking at your energy reserves and seeing if you actually have enough energy to do that kind of intense stuff. So gentle walking or yoga may be a better thing for you until you can get those energy reserves back up. Testing is helpful, really helpful. Symptoms are a great indication, but they, like I said, they can get mixed up with other things. So an adrenal stress test is what we use to identify your stress hormone imbalances. It looks for cortisol and DHEA and all the metabolites, as well as your sex hormones, so we can see if they're actually having an impact. Because cortisol is the one with the first thing we want to look at. We want to look at your graph over 4 points at over 24 hours to see where you're producing cortisol. Is it in the right range? Where are the bits where your adrenals may be struggling? And that's what we would need to target. Remember that your health is the most important thing in the world. So if you do recognise any of these symptoms, make sure you prioritise the steps that I've talked about today and get some help if you feel like you can't do this alone. Hope that's been helpful. Get in touch if you need help. Take care. I'll see you next time.